I've said before that you can absolutely make portraits with a wide-angle lens, but there are some things to watch out for. I'm going to talk about them after the intro. In episode 145, I showed you that focal length alone doesn't change the look of the faces in your photo. As long as you back up a little bit, you can still have your subject looking relatively normal. However, there are some other issues to consider when photographing people with a wide-angle lens. Now, when I talk about wide angle, I generally mean anything wider than 50 millimeters, like 35, 24, or even 11 millimeters on a full-frame body. I'm not including fisheye lenses in this case, which are used specifically to give you a distorted look. Now, while your instinct may be to reach for a longer lens to shoot a portrait and throw your background out of focus, wide-angle lenses show more of the surroundings and give a better feel for the environment around your subject. They have an intimacy that's harder to replicate with a long lens. Now, the first thing I recommend when shooting wide is to keep your camera level. Ideally, the camera sensor should be parallel to your subject. Shooting from a very low or a high angle while looking up or down will give you an unnatural looking perspective. Something else to watch out for when making a wide-angle portrait is the positioning of your subject in the frame. As you get closer to the edges, you'll have a more rounded effect. If someone's head is in there, it'll stretch into an oblong shape, and that's not very flattering. You'll see this much more with an ultra wide-angle lens, so the best bet is to keep the person closer to the middle of your frame. Lastly, anything that gets closer to your lens will look bigger in the image. If you don't want your subject's extremities to be distorted, then keep them in close to their body. If their hands are sticking out closer to the camera, they'll look out of proportion to the rest of themselves. Now, of course, all of these supposed rules can be broken for creative effect. Feel free to experiment and play around with distortion and perspectives. But if your goal is to photograph someone with a wide-angle lens while still having them look as natural as possible, then keep your camera level, put them in the center of the frame, and have them keep their entire body the same distance from the camera. Thanks as always for joining me here on Adorama TV, and I hope you've been enjoying my 2-minute tips. I've got something new coming up next month, and we'll be answering your questions. If there's anything you want to know, go right now to askdavidbergman.com and submit your most pressing photography questions. I'll have more details about the show over the next couple of weeks, but for now, get those questions in, and maybe I'll pick yours to answer on the show. Of course, keep coming back here to Adorama TV on YouTube for lots of free educational photo content, and follow me on social media. I'm @David Bergman. I'll see you back here next time.